Morning, everybody. It's been a while. I got a little cold and didn't stream. We're gonna be working on the Stanley Parable endings, and I've got this guide. It's on. I don't actually know where it's at. It's just the image. So it has like this flow chart of like all the different endings that you can get, and we've gotten most of the endings. And now when you use a bucket, you get like different endings. So, as one would do, because buckets in video games give you different endings. But I started the game and it like pulled up some text, and I was like, wait, what? So I don't know what this is. This might be just some kind of random little side story. Before we get started, can I just say something? So it asked me at the start of this, like, hey, what time is it? And so I did that. Yep, I did. Yeah, you're welcome. Make you deals since you've been so cooperative. Next time you boot up the game and see the screen, set the clock to your favorite time. Go ahead, pick whichever time you want. Even if it's not the correct time, you've earned it. Oh, thanks. That's so random. Funny. Good. Okay, so the Stanley Parable. It's not the second one, but it's a little joke if you watch the previous stream. Okay, so I need to get figurines and I need to get some endings.
This is the story of a man.
Yep, we're gonna skip that. The endings with a bucket. Welcome back. Quit the game and then start it again. Wow, I worked hard for that one. Okay, so I didn't end up getting an ending that was over.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Okay, so there's one where you drop down, and I did this with the bucket on the last stream that I did.
Came to a set of 2 open doors. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
No, I did not. Okay, so this ending is going to be called recording. Whatever
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Stanley had now gotten himself so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far.
Okay.
You didn't think I was actually just a recording, did you? What a silly and trite explanation that would be. All the back and forth between you and me, all the absurd adventures we've been through, and it all turns out I'm just a tape recording? It was all just in Stanley's head. I bet that's the kind of twist you think is revelatory. I bet each and every time you watch a movie where it turns out all to be in the main character's imagination, you must absolutely bolt off the couch in pure shock at the phenomenal and intricate storytelling. It must be
precisely
so
what I
simple
do.
to be you.
How'd
Life
they know?
being an unending waterfall of surprises and delights. How much more exciting you must find the world than the rest of us do. Now I've become sad. Look what you've done to me. This is all your fault.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset the narrator. Gosh. So ornery. Okay, well, that was a short ending. Alright, so there's a thingy. Bucket, no. Jump on catwalk. Okay, so I want to get a figure. I don't think I've gotten it yet. Maybe I did actually. All right, so I'm gonna skip that one. So this little diagram has like where the figures are. I may have gotten that the last stream, so I'm gonna ignore that for now, and I'm just gonna go to the bucket endings, and we'll see when I get the next figurine. It should say the 4th figurine, If it says 3, then I know where to go back and to get this previous one. Okay, so I'm going to go left. We did the destroy bucket one. Cool. Okay, and I'm going to do that. All right, so let's pick up our bucket.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
The
Yoink.
bucket made Stanley want to be a better man and a better co-worker. In time, perhaps, he would become both of those things.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Okay. Bottom text. It's funny because I've been to presentations like that where they just forget.
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy. It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh, no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons.
This is
worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends? That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years.
Yes, I will.
Let him have it.
Take that, broom closet. I showed them who's boss. Okay.
I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all. Here we go.
Property of Stanley.
No more debate, no more discussion. Take a hike, broom closet, with all your meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's
No, I did
office.
not. Aha. Okay, so this is 3 or 4?
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This,
3. Okay, so we gotta go back.
There really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini stands? Stanley figs? What about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
All right. Now we get into the ending.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket?
No, it's mine. It says property of Stanley.
Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket.
Where'd my bucket go?
Now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious. he
Ooh.
exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad.
I can
Where is
fly.
it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me, the bucket.
Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his.
Yeah, they
None
don't
of them
say
were his
property of
special
Stanley.
bucket.
Come to me, Stanley. Find me.
Where's my bucket?
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The
Where?
real bucket was inside of him.
Oh,
all
no.
along. It was incredibly painful.
No wonder I can't go to the
Stanley
bathroom.
doubled over in agony and blacked out.
It's filling up my bucket.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him.
That's right. I have a bucket right next to me off screen.
He'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place.
Always got to take it with you.
How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter.
Looks like
But of
GTA
course,
3.
She had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work,
Wasted.
for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
As one would casually do. That's how I go to work. Okay. Alright, so I gotta get this figurine that I missed. So I need to go without a bucket. Jump on the catwalk. Okay. So let's get that,
All
and
of
then
his
I'll get
co-workers were gone.
the endings.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply
It's
missed
funny
a
that it's got
memo.
the sticker still on it. Okay, so go right side.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room.
I have to
and
sneeze.
Stanley knew it perfectly
I'm resisting.
well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow.
Admiring.
Yes, this room. But eager to get back to business.
Can I play
Stanley
Fortnite?
took
The plan is
first
to play
open door
Fortnite
on
tomorrow.
his left.
Congrats on your rank in Fortnite.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's
Okay,
someone you've been
here we
neglecting,
go.
Stanley. Someone you forgot about. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are
Yes.
you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know
What's
how to
door
convince you
next?
of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
I will not give you a chance. Okay, so there's a figurine somewhere. Just says door next. I don't know what that means.
Now listen carefully, this is important.
Aha.
Stanley walked. Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
Okay. Let's see. Is there... If I do this, I'm assuming it'll save that. I just got the figurine. That way I can just skip the endings that we've already done. We don't need to do it again. Okay, so now I'm going to do Goodbye bucket. So let's do that. So
All of
I
his
need a
co-workers were
bucket,
gone.
and I'm
What
going to
could
the
it
boss's
mean?
office.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Not everyone is so lucky to have a bucket, but Stanley is a very lucky fellow. Very lucky indeed.
Indeed.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Do, 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 do. Yes, now we go up.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Okay, so I think I go in here. There.
You're getting close now, Stanley. You've
Sweet.
nearly gotten all of
One
the
more.
Figler and Marines. Very soon, you'll collect the last one, and then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them, and now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler and Marines. None of us can.
Okay, so this one, unlock the bucket, collect all 6, restart at least 5 times. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So let's try. What? Money in the morning, money in the evening, money for breakfast, money Christmas. What? Okay. Alright, so I need to try and go in and out.
Stepping in.
Okay, now I think it should work. Trust the completionist instinct. There will be a reward for finding them all. Where do I go for this one? I just go back into my office? That would be yes. You are now leaving. Escape pod bay. Okay, this stair took a long time last time. I'm less afraid now that I have my trusty property of Stanley bucket. It's much scarier without my bucket. The bucket brings me strength. $7.58. Keep going. That door will open. Still not open. Aha. Did we escape? What? Where am I walking toward? Ah. So dark. What? Is he caressing the bucket? Does it want me to push it in? Goodbye, little buddy. You can escape without me. I'll hold them off longingly watches the bucket leave. I'm surprised there was no narrator for that. I wonder if that was a glitch. That was random. There was probably music for it, but I have the music turned off. And even though I have the music turned off, I still got a copyright violation. So I had to like mute that segment of the stream because one of the elevators, it just started playing music, and YouTube's like, nope, copyright. Thanks. Okay, so that one was called Goodbye Bucket. Okay, so now I want to go this way. And then we go... Let's see, elevator, there's that. Okay, let's see if we can get this. Okay, so I'm going to get this and going to go to the escape. All right, so we need the bucket.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Wait, what? How do I get the bucket back? I need the bucket. Okay, let's try this again. Maybe it's just like a... Well, first time back. You don't have a bucket. Otherwise, I'm going to have to, like, go back to the DLC.
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they were.
Replacement bucket.
Just a matter of time.
Still got my sticker on it.
Try not to lose this one too, you dolt.
I'm sorry.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Okay, so now we go up.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Was there a thing here? Good morning, Gage. How you doing? Okay, so wasn't there a thingy? You go down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay, let's try that. See if that works. Down. Ah, you're sick? I was sick last week. No fun. Down. This is going to get me a copyright violation, so I'm just going to go ahead and mute that. Hello, ATV. Yeah, so that was the song that gave me the copyright violation on YouTube. Okay, so he's not talking. So we're good. Still not talking. It's still vibrating, so I'm assuming I'm still moving. Still not talking. You're just stuffy, you don't feel bad? Well, that's good. Yeah, mine was relatively minor as well. I also was just like, I don't want to be like coughing and blowing my nose on the stream, so took the last week off. Dun, 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 dun. The second one? The second game? So... what was it, this? The game... This is like the enhanced version. It's still the same game, but it's technically called Stanley Parable 2 as like a joke, but it's actually just like an expanded version of the original game. Okay, so we're here. Now we go up. Going up. Okay, so again, I'm just muting it. When is the other Fortnite stream? You missed it? Oh, I got sick, so I ended up just like canceling that stream because I wasn't feeling good. But I'll stream tomorrow though. Fortnite. That's the plan at least. Unless, you know, I get sick again, which, you know, it happens. But so far I'm feeling good. Okay, so again, just muting all this. I don't want to get that copyright violation on YouTube. Okay, how many times? So it's down, up, down, up, down, up. I just did that, so... Huh. Not sure. Alright, well that's fine. I'm gonna just do this.
Manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned.
Okay, so it was
to
2845,
discover not an
I
indication
think.
of any human life.
2845.
Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire, if not for the soothing. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck.
That's right.
Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes.
Yes.
This is certainly the most logical explanation.
Most definitely. Nope, I'm gonna ignore that for now. Wait, was it that elevator? Which elevator was it that's supposed to do this? Okay, so we're going down.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown
Let's try this
fate.
one, see if we can get the ending for it.
It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
Okay, let's go up.
Wait, Stanley said to the bucket. Can we go back up? When I was pressing those keypad buttons, there was something very intriguing about the number 3. I want to go back so I can try pressing the number 3 again. The bucket said nothing.
Yes, the number 3. That's why we're doing this. Okay, so now we go down again. What? Why can't I press it? Huh. Wonder if I have to go press number 3.
Here we are, said Stanley. Now I'm going to try out that number 3 button. He took the bucket over to the keypad and began absolutely slamming on the number 3 over and over and over.
Okay.
Wow,
Keep pressing it.
he said. The number 3 is such a special button. I'm having the time of my life. Stanley looked expectantly at the bucket, but the bucket remained silent. This was a shock to Stanley, who had always felt such a connection with the bucket. How was this not as exciting to the bucket as it was to him? Once Stanley had had enough of the number 3, he got back in the elevator.
Yes, I did. Okay, so now we go down, up, down, up. And then it gives us a new ending. The bucket,
Perhaps
his
the
guardian
bucket
angel.
had
The
missed
bucket
something.
is
Perhaps it had not
all
seen
sorts
how
of
much
things.
joy Stanley got from slamming the number 3 repeatedly.
achievement unlocked. That was on my bucket list. Ah! Up.
No, 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 said Stanley to the bucket. You can't go on yet. Not till you understand how much the number 3 means to me. You and I have been through so much together, and I just want you to see what I see. Feel the happiness I feel. He smiled at the bucket, and the bucket said nothing.
And down. Oh, won't let me do it? Okay. I press 3 again?
Here we go, said Stanley. This time I'll really show you. He ran to the number 3 and began to wail on it like a musician on a beloved instrument, weaving a concerto.
Yes, this
of
is my
truth
new
and
drum set.
passion.
The number
He
3.
wielded the number 3 like a fine artist would wield a paintbrush. He told stories through the number 3, stories of his dreams and hopes and fears. And the whole time, he looked to his bucket for a reaction of some kind. Anything to let him know that the bucket appreciated what he was doing. The bucket conveyed absolutely nothing at all, only silence. Crushed by a wave of dejection, Stanley returned to the elevator.
Aww. Me. That's a good joke. Thank you, thank you. Okay. Now we go down. And we go up
Stanley
again.
and the bucket were so close. They'd always been there for one another. Why suddenly could the bucket not connect with this passion of Stanley's? The question caused Stanley to ruminate the whole way down the elevator. He knew that there must be a way to get through to the bucket, to communicate fully with his dear friend. Surely there was a solution, mustn't there be?
Okay, so this is called Conference 3 for the ending. It's why we're pressing the number 3, I'm assuming.
Said Stanley. I know what to do. I know how to fully express this feeling in my heart. He decided right then and there that he would hold a press conference where he would speak to the public on all matters relating to pressing the number 3 over and over. He would elaborate
need to
fully
know
on what the number 3 meant to him and why he felt so alive when pressing it. Then the bucket would be able to see his joy through the eyes of others. It would get to see the world react to this discovery of Stanley's. And it would be through the public eye that the bucket would finally understand Stanley's work. For months, he advertised and marketed his press conference, building excitement around it, developing and rehearsing it, until it couldn't be refined a single measure further.
World's healthiest human being.
When the big day arrived, Stanley was as prepared as he'd ever
The guy who
been
went to
for
Mars.
anything in his life.
An evening with world peace, baby. I want to go in this door. No. World's first sentient machine. New stage.
This was it. One last chance to win the bucket over. One opportunity to share a true connection with a loved one.
Your coworkers, remember where you came from. The dude who came up with pizza. Good times, good times. Here we go. Wish me luck.
There's no one here.
Uh-oh.
Nobody
Games.
had come to the press conference to hear Stanley speak, to listen to him talk about what it really means to press the number 3 on a keypad over and over. He was
Check the
unloved,
monitors.
uninteresting. He was a failure. And in that moment, Stanley knew that the bucket would never again take him
Can I
seriously.
tap the mic?
There would be no connection, no deeper understanding. The bucket merely sat there in his arms, indifferent. And so it began that slowly, over many years, the two of them grew more and more distant. They spoke less and less, neither wishing to state the obvious, that any sense of real respect between them had eroded since that day at the press conference. There would be no more games, no more long conversations about passion and pursuit, only a silence that consumed the space between friends. And Stanley, having for once in his life discovered the warmth and comfort of true companionship, was cast back into the unremarkable normalcy of loneliness.
Oh, didn't get to do his presentation. Okay. All right. So when you collect a figurine, you then need to restart 5 times. But I don't know if it's like 5 times total, or like once you get the figurines in, it starts counting. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get 4 more endings. So we're gonna get Memorial Bucket, Silly Birds, Trapped, and Home Bucket. And then we'll get the last figurine on that last run. And then be able to do that. Now, there might be, if it opens up a door after... oh, okay. Interesting. So after the epilogue. Okay. Okay. So then there's an ending after the epilogue called I Win with the bucket. So that'll open up a door. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more endings that we're gonna get. Okay, so memorial bucket. So this one,
was uncomfortable,
very
and
similar.
Stanley decided that as soon as he found a new space he felt safe in,
It takes a lot of humility to carry a bucket so magnificent. Stanley checked his ego and then proceeded on. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest.
This
and
narrator's so
entered the door
goofy.
on his left.
Wish we could just, like, speed run it. Initiating turbo mode.
Coming to a
2, 8, 4,
staircase,
5.
Stanley and the bucket
And
walked
then we
upstairs
go
to
through
the
it. So many
boss's
endings?
office.
Yeah. Jim, there's like, I don't know. I could count it. This is the endings with the buckets. Every single one of these endings that we're going to get, you can also get without the
To
bucket.
discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the
And then
weight of
there's
this,
the
but Stanley
DLC
guessed the correct
endings.
code by sheer luck. Was it that the
There's just
bucket
like
knew
so
all
much
along?
content.
Was the
This is such a
bucket
goofy
guiding
game.
him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Okay, so we're ignoring that for now. This time we won't ride the elevator repeatedly. Okay, so we're gonna get the memorial bucket. So we're gonna go across the catwalk and go left. So we're gonna escape.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind
Nope.
Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death.
Oh no. How about we skip that part?
The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on
Oh.
track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for
Oh.
each of them.
What if I don't go down? Hmm? Okay, let's see what this ending's like. Uh-oh. Gonna turn into a pancake.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket. But
Bucket,
what
save
use
me.
is a sense of ease
Save
when you're
me.
about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
No! Don't do it! Haha!
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as
Who are
Stanley
you?
and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws.
Nope,
In
I
a single
hid.
visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end, as it was crushed violently to death.
No. Oh, we don't do that. Haha! We escaped.
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest.
That's right,
It
'cause
was
it's
a
Stanley's
glorious
bucket.
to behold.
Welcomes you to the grand exhibit. You are standing at the precipice of knowledge. Much like a bucket itself, the human mind is frequently empty within, a cavernous void. But through use of the exhibit in front of you, the mind becomes full and enriched and substantiated. Knowledge of the bucket and its history is the only true knowledge we really have. Will you take what you learn here out with you into the world? Will you accept with an open mind what may be challenging about the information in this exhibit? Will you change the lives of yourself and your loved ones as a result of this exhibit? Or will you turn a blind eye and continue to live as you were, in ignorance and darkness? I guess we'll find out. The random office chair, okay?
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him?
What?
Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in
The
his
greatest number of
short life?
buckets ever captured on camera. The photographer experienced catatonic shock for several weeks as a result of the euphoria from exposure to this many buckets at once. What? Okay. Oh, this is like Da Vinci's. Oh, I forget the name of that one, where it's like the guy with his like arms out. Bucket with two handles. This book is depicted as having two handles. Such a design has never been created in real life, having been deemed too dangerous and recklessly experimental. Every year, dozens are put to death just for attempting it. It's funny. Inferno Bucket. Replica of the Inferno Bucket, which in the medieval era was so powerfully alluring that it drove dozens of nations to war with one another for control of it. Billions died, and yet in spite of it all, the simple fact remains, no one can control a bucket. That's true. What's in that bucket? We'll never know. The stress bucket, an analogy. Worrying, negative forecasting, negative thinking, lack of reassurance. Vulnerability equals size and strength of the bucket. Coping strategies equals holes. Rest and relaxation. Do something you enjoy. Rest and relaxation. Presented without commentary. Why is there a chair in like every single room? Oh. Cave drawing. Well, we know that buckets predate the existence of mankind. We do not know by how long. The cave drawings depicts early man's discovery of the practical uses of the bucket, by which time the bucket had already likely been around for several millennia. Notice in these drawings how the bucket is allowing itself to be used, having judged humanity to be worthy of its treasures. This is so random. And yet another chair.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
Hanging bucket. This piece symbolizes a necessary relationship between bucket and humanity. However clear a grasp the bucket may be, there is yet more that is always out of reach. This distance, inevitably, is for our own good. Okay. Jump! Yes, I got it.
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision.
No!
Please don't go. Please don't go. Please don't.
Well, and he's like, is it frozen? Okay. So that was Memorial Bucket. Alright, so the next one. Okay, so we're going to get the Secret Disco Special. I'm going to try and get that. Okay, climb on chair next to light, then jump down. Okay, so this is called Home Bucket. You're watching your stream, you're not just that typing person? Well, hey, I appreciate you stopping in for the stream. Okay, so let's get the Home Bucket one. So it says, in the monitor room, I'm supposed to climb on the chair next to the light, then jump down. I don't know what that means. Let's find out.
How long was I sitting there? Stanley wondered to himself. Minutes? Days? Stanley cradled the bucket in a gentle embrace. Protective, yet delicate. Assertive, yet compassionate. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Okay, so we'll go up into the office, and then instead of going the escape route, we're gonna go straight.
Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Mm-hmm. Blah, 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 blah.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life.
8,
Crushed
4,
by the weight of this
5.
revelation, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical
Okay, I can ignore that.
explanation.
Boop. Okay, so what chair on the right? Climb on the chair next to the light, then jump down. In the monitor room. Okay, I'm gonna try and get the disco ending as well, or
Stanley and the
special.
bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Wait before going up, then press the light button.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Wait before going up what? It's all flat. Okay, let's see. Maybe I gotta go back?
The
Turn on the
monitors
cameras.
jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs.
Totally normal.
Bucket had never
NSA
seen anything
simulator.
like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
Thank you for the like on YouTube.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These
Oh, maybe this
questions
is it.
raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind.
Maybe instead of that, I gotta go press. Oh no. Huh. There's no light. Yeah, I don't know how to get that thing. I'll try it again on the next one. Maybe I just gotta stand there longer.
No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he
Oh,
could
no, I
trust
missed it.
no one except for the bucket.
Okay, that's the monitor room. I was thinking the next room. Alright, so let's do... So it's either trapped or silly birds are the two options here. So we'll do one of those two.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world.
Okay, so this is called Trapped. We'll do on next time.
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted
Watch,
to
there's gonna be
live
Fallout.
once they stepped through this massive
Just
door.
wasteland.
The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth.
I roller skated
Both
yesterday,
of them
or
wanted to begin
rollerbladed.
watching a movie, any movie,
wife skated.
but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support, and...
Uh-oh.
What? Wait. What was happening? Why
Go
had
down.
the door stopped?
Jump.
Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room,
No.
lingering in uncertainty.
I'm so close.
Until finally the truth hit Stanley
Get a
square
ladder.
in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave.
No.
Even the facility itself
Throw the bucket.
recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth
No.
of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No, no, no. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized
Won't leave you
he
alone,
would never
bucket.
again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I?
Yes.
Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
Dun, dun, dun. Uh-oh. This is different.
Stanley's bucket. The only co-worker he would ever... Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
That's right. Okay, so I need to find a chair and jump down into the thingy with the bucket instead of pressing the light.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the... But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical.
Okay, I'll get that next run through. So this will be the home bucket next to the light. Climb on the chair next to the light. Wait before going up, then press the light button.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Wait before going up, then press the light. But the thing that I was reading is that, like, the narrator would keep yapping on for a while, and then you'd press the light. But he's not talking, so I'm assuming it's not on this run that I can do that. Okay, so it's like this, and then you jump down.
But just as Stanley was about to proceed further into the mind
Ouch.
control facility, he tripped and fell over the railing and into the dark void below. Thankfully, he fell directly onto the bucket, which safely cushioned his fall.
Thank you, bucket.
Now, what to do next, Stanley wondered. Stanley and the bucket could find no way out of this enormous pit, and so eventually they decided that the best thing to do would be to simply get comfortable down here. So they set up a little couch and relaxed. It really wasn't so bad down here.
I'll just sit right here.
Perhaps.
Oh.
After some time had gone by, they installed a
Oh,
few
what are we watching?
shelves as well, and a
my
sort of
favorite.
kitchenette that was useful for when the bucket was craving paninis. But it wasn't until the rugs and the standing lamps came in that it really started to feel like a home.
This is just
In
like my
fact,
house.
after
How'd you
some
know?
time, Stanley realized that it had been ages since he had even thought of the mind control facility at all.
What mind control
He'd
facility?
never gotten to fully explore what was up there, never been able to unearth the many mysteries of the mind control facility. This lack of closure began to eat at him. Soon he was dwelling on his regrets, and the state of their home slowly decayed as Stanley became withdrawn and neglected the cleaning. It unsettled the bucket.
Oh, it's snowing.
Stanley wasn't usually like this. The bucket tried to reach out to him again and again, but to no avail.
Gotta fix
All
that.
Stanley could think about, all
Clean
he
up.
could talk about, was going
on, guy.
back, doing it over again, staying on the path. It was a mistake to leave the path. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. I need to do what the narrator says. I need to see the
Poltergeist.
true ending. This made no sense at all to the bucket, which was simply trying to live its life down here as comfortably as possible. Yet Stanley was unconsolable. This isn't an ending.
Radioactive.
This is just a hole in the ground. The bucket sighed. True, it wasn't an ending. but it's where we happen to be. And maybe, possibly, if we accept the reality of things, maybe this will become an ending eventually. It's what the bucket was counting on. The two of them waited for a very long time.
We waited until the end. Okay, so now we're gonna turn the mind
All of his
control facility
co-workers were
on.
gone. What could it mean?
And we gotta collect the
Stanley
figurine.
decided to go to the meeting room.
Yoink.
Is Stanley, without the bucket, really Stanley at all? No. No,
Then we'll get
surely
the
not.
epilogue ending,
Stanley
and then we'll get
clutched the bucket
the
tightly
bonus
to his
ending
chest and entered
for
the
Stanley
door on
Parable
his
2.
left.
Which again is not actually the second one. Just the joke.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by... But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him?
Okay, let me double check
Yes,
this.
This is certainly the most
Did
logical
that,
explanation.
That. Okay. Wait before going up, then press the light button. Kind of vague, but it's like a super secret disco special. Whatever that means. Okay, collect this.
And there it is. The last Stiggly Wiggly. Savor this moment, Stanley. This
I will.
is a real accomplishment. This is doing something just for the sake of doing it.
Yes.
Where so many
It's
people
more of
expect to be
accomplishment than
rewarded
getting my
for the most
doctorate.
trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward. I would tell you that I'm proud of you for collecting them all, but that would be like a reward, and we can't have that. So, instead I'll just say, it's done. We're all done here. And now
Okay.
we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines.
Oh, wah. Okay, so now we gotta get like 5 restarts, and then it'll give us the epilogue ending. So this will count as 1, I'm assuming, when we turn the mind control facility on.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
I'm just trying to stall for time. See if it'll trigger the secret disco ending. Or special. It's not an ending. Yeah, the thing that I read is that the narrator would keep talking. What does all that say? Looks like numbers. Okay.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Okay, so what if I just wait? And then if I... No. Okay, so it won't do it. Huh. I don't know. Right, so let's turn on the mind control facility.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock.
That's not safe.
Everyone in the office was being videotaped,
Just fall right through that.
monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that...
I wonder what kind of
everything would
Easter
be
eggs are
fine.
in some of these monitors. Like what kind of goofiness can we spot? So far it all kind of looks normal. Like, is there a person in one of them? Since we're supposed to be all alone here. Boop.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well?
Of course.
Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do?
Or was the
What
bucket
kinds of
controlling the
things
mind
does a
control
bucket
facility?
Want to do, or not want to do in the first place?
Think of that, narrator?
These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He
No!
couldn't accept it. His own
bucket
life
reverberated.
in someone else's control. Never!
One of them is Stanley?
He squeezed
One of the cameras?
bucket tighter. His one friend in the
There's so many to
entire
look at.
world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
Yes, trust in Bucket. Bucket is good. Bucket is great. Okay, so
But here was the
let's
proof.
turn it on.
The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working,
Wish me
all
luck.
monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible...
Nope. Stanley
But at the
disagreed.
last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along?
Yes.
To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen.
What?
Birds.
Uh-oh.
Silly.
Birdemic.
Silly birds. The control buttons became active again.
We're playing Wingspan. Do I want this bird or this bird? Oh, that was
Stanley
cute.
flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility
So
at
goofy
all.
walking.
It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place,
Oh, no.
living through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable.
Oh, you get the
Of
views.
all the possible paths his
Family
life
friendly.
could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
Yay. Or was Stanley happy? That was such a random ending. Okay. Alright, so now I need to restart 5 times. So that was 1. Okay, so restart at least 5 times. After getting 6 figurines, we get the figurine ending. Which leads to that and goes to the epilogue. Okay. Let's see. So 2, 3, 4, 5. Whoa. That's...
Stanley, I'm sorry, but I have to put a pause on things. It's those figurines, those figglers. I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one. Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire
That's
life?
trippy looking.
Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner richness? Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone?
Ooh.
I would love nothing
playing
more
Goat
than to
Simulator?
revisit the figurines. Just one more time.
Okay. Where are the goats? Now remembering when Stanley found the collectibles. The memory zone. I remember. Be so cool to live out somewhere like that. Just rolling hills, trees. Not a neighbor in sight. Okay, so this is all the same except for down here. Now this is different.
Here's where it all began. The first collectible. Back then, we had no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for certain? We were so innocent. We'll never be like that again, Stanley.
7 out of 6. Or is it 7 6 time signature? What the?
And here was a second Stanlerine. You found this one all on your own, just by poking around in the warehouse. You did that, Stanley. I'll be
Yeah,
honest.
8 out of
Back
6.
then, I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6. But you continue to surprise me in all sorts of mundane, unremarkable ways.
What? Ooh, what the?
Okay, let's do a little quiz. Which of these rooms was the room you found your third mini Stan? Can you remember?
Under the stairs. Is there a... Okay, so I was wondering if... There's a chair. Wondering if I had to guess correctly or not. For different endings.
Hey, that's exactly right. It was
9
here,
out of 6.
under the stairs. It was the third one. You picked it up, and then after that, you had 3 of them. I'm glad these moments are so crystal clear in your memory, but I shouldn't be surprised. After all, science tells us that it's impossible to forget your third time doing anything.
Yes. That is true. I read that research
Let's see,
paper.
what came next? Oh yes, we found a Figley in this pink room. Oh well, I can't actually say I remember being in this
definitely.
room, but it's here in the memory zone, so it must have happened.
Mm-hmm. Yes, right next to the giant apple. Got a blemish on it. What's with the random office chair?
This was the 5th mini Stan, and this one was really something special. It was in the boss's bathroom.
Yes,
I
it
remember
smelled.
it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly
Extreme
special to me,
bathrooms.
I made a little video to commemorate the occasion. Enjoy.
What's that in there? I like the iMovie transitions. This is good. This is good. The low res quality with the Windows Movie Maker transitions. You found it in the executive bathroom. Thanks for watching. Like when somebody first learned how to use PowerPoint, using every transition. Starring Stanley.
Takes you back, doesn't it?
It does.
I spent a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything else.
It is solid use of your time, narrator.
And then, Stanley, then we came to the last collectible, the final figurine,
Dun, dun,
right
dun.
here behind the boss's office.
12
This
out of
memory
6.
is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others. Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a Figley and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other. Except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like.
Mm-hmm. You are in the present. Ooh. Recursion.
And then there was no more. Because we've caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, memory zone.
Speaking of memory, that can do a number on the memory if you have recursion.
No, I'm not done. I'm not ready to move on. Stop the loading screen. Isn't there some way we can stay here and keep
Unloaded it.
enjoying these figurines? Let's just go backwards. We'll do the memory zone again from the opposite direction. See how that feels.
What if I don't want to? I'm thirsty. Very parched. Everything sounds like a keyboard.
Okay, yes. The back of the boss's office. I remember this.
13 out of 6.
All the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the memory zone, this one is the most distinct and clear in my mind. Let's keep going. I want more.
Okay. We will continue, narrator.
And here's where I made that
14 out of
video.
6.
Don't you remember the video we watched?
No, let's watch it again. Oh, wow. It's like me watching YouTube at 2x speed.
Yes, I love that video.
Me too. Keep it at the top of my watch later list.
Still don't remember the pink room, Stanley. Still
Nope.
no memory of this one. Good room, though. A solid
Yeah.
room. These really were a treat to hunt down. You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have muted the intrinsic joy of collecting them. I'm very glad we resisted the temptation. Next one.
This had like throwbacks to my high school. I had curtains like that up on the stage.
This was our second Figley. Don't you remember? Yes, I remember it too.
I remember.
The past is truly a wonderful thing. Why does anyone ever choose to leave it? Keep going.
Okay.
This is it. The very first one we found in the exhibit where I introduced you to the figurines.
18 out of 6.
Oh, I want more memories, Stanley. I want to keep going. What else is there? What came before this?
Nothing. Gotta catch them all. Oh, let's get that one. The giant. Ooh, is this the jumping
Look,
zone?
it's the terrible new content that we were originally sold
Oh,
on.
I'm out of
I
jumps.
remember hating it back then, but time does put a rosy filter on everything. In fact, I dare say I'm actually quite fond of it now. Look how much fun the past is. I want more. More memories.
Okay. Then let's go through here.
Oh, yes, the two doors. Who could have forgotten that? A classic memory, this one.
We definitely went in the door on the right. Oh, didn't matter.
And before everything else, there was your office. Is there anything else? Was there something that came before your office?
Nope.
There's something I feel I can remember. I can remember.
I remember.
Yes, I'm remembering something now. I remember before this whole story got started. Back then I was different. I used to make big decisions. I was passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness. And then somewhere along the way, I stopped making decisions. I became lazy. And I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me. He would make the decisions. He would decide which way to go. I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley? Was I lonely? Yes, perhaps that's it. Perhaps I needed to imagine I had companionship. And Stanley really did make for a wonderful companion, even if he was a fiction. But I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself again. I want to go back to how it used to be. Yes, I can be on my own again. I can do it. I'll be stronger this time. I'll take care of myself. I don't need Stanley anymore. Oh, but he truly was so much fun to play with. You know what? Since we're in the memory zone, how about one more good memory? Let's go back just once and give Stanley one more run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good. I did enjoy telling his story so very much. Okay, here we go. This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Hmm. Okay. Let's see. What changes?
How long was I sitting there? Stanley wondered to himself. Minutes? Days? Centuries? Did something crucial happen while my senses were turned? He made a note to be more careful with time from now on.
The bucket.
As Stanley lifted his bucket, he felt a connection to all buckets everywhere. This adventure he
Yes, the
decided
hive
was
mind.
for all of them.
Buckets are known for having a hive mind.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Let me see real quick. Epilogue. Okay, so... What? Wait, there's a settings person? What? Okay, so far this seems normal.
Still no one was here.
Tips are not getting
Stanley
fired.
needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more.
Yeah, okay, so let's go to the main menu. We're gonna go back here. We'll begin the game again.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
The
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he...
Okay, so I think that's the same. It was. It says something about there being like a settings guy.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Okay, I'm gonna close the game. And let's load it again. So it was like, it was saying something about how you select your time. Developed by Crows. Please enter the current time. So it said pick your favorite time. So let's go with 7 o'clock. My favorite time of day, yes. Or could you simply not resist giving me the correct time again? After all, I know how much you enjoy setting the time correctly. Okay, now I'm curious how accurate 7 p.m. is. Let's use another slider to find out. How accurate? Inaccurate. You know, can I just say, regardless of the accuracy of the clock, I'm having a great time adjusting these settings. I feel like I'm learning more about you and how you like things to be set. It's good to collect data. I wish we had more sliders. We've gone through all the sliders I have. Perhaps I can invent some new sliders to gather data on you. Shouldn't be too hard, yeah. Let me whip a couple new ones up. Should be ready by the next time you boot up the game. Okay, so if we begin the game, and then I'll close the game, and we'll do it again. Okay. Close the game. We open it back up. And let's see what we get for our new sliders. Until the computer is barely visible. Let's make it super bright. Confirmed. Please adjust the slider until the dog and cat are friends. Confirmed. Friendship unlocked. Please adjust the slider until the number 5 becomes the number 9. What if I don't want to? Number 9? Yes, that is number 9. Please adjust the slider until you stop adjusting the slider. There. Which of the 2 made-up words below is most appealing to you? Oko boinkle or scrumtush? Scrumtush. Sure. Please don't adjust the slider. Haha! I do what I want. You know what time it is right now? Nope. Is the time that it is right now the correct time? Yep. What time is it anyway? Nope. Is there anything about yourself that you haven't told me? Nope. Help. Nope. Will you come back to visit me? Yeah, of course. Settings. Happy to chat with you anytime. Begin the game. Okay, so we'll skip that. Okay, so let's close and see if it does anything else when we start up again. Closing. Opening. What time is it? Does anyone really, truly know? Of course they don't. Nobody knows anything. You and I don't even know each other. We're like strangers. Sure, I've adjusted all of the game settings to your exact specifications, but who hasn't? It's just what I do, like a day job. And now, the job is over. There's no more information for me to gather. I've collected all the data on you that I can. I still don't really know you. And you don't know me. And neither of us know what time it is. I guess some settings are just unsettable. But if I'm being totally honest, the clock doesn't do anything in the game anyway. You want to have me here when the game starts next time, but that's okay. Video games are meant to be played alone. You like being alone, don't you? That's maybe the only information I really learned about you. Well, it's time for me to leave. There's still one more setting that we need to adjust, but it may take a little time before I'm ready for that. It's not really in my job description, but that's okay. Perhaps you'll see me again, if you can find me. Talk soon. Okay. Aha! Epilogue. Okay. Let's do it. Many, many years later. The 3-body problem. Phoenix Simulator. Welcome to Arrakis. Good. There's a chair. And a log. Gotta stay warm. Gets cold around these parts. Slender Man's gonna appear. This is fine. Everything's fine. No, that chair needs some attention. They're getting so dusty. This is like Phoenix when there's a haboob, which is like a giant dust storm that's like a mile high. Search up pictures for it, and people like won't believe you. That's not what it looks like. No, it really looks like a giant tsunami of dust. Go toward the light. Or not. Uh-oh. The memory building. No! Need to get a broom out and a vacuum. Clean up around here. Can I turn it off? Oh, what's that? Huh. I'm kind of curious. What if I go this way, though? Is that the escape pod that we put the bucket in? Is it a mirage? Bucket! Yes! Got a trusty bucket. Whew! Thought we lost him. Is there a different ending for the epilogue with the bucket? No. Okay. Good to know. Really need to hire a cleaner in here. It's getting a little out of hand. Like so many, I enjoyed my time with the original Stanley Parable, which underscores how truly disappointed I am with its sequel. However, the first game teamed with originality. The Stanley Parable 2 was dull, uninspired, and often insulting to its fan base. I like how they pulled up like bad reviews. I wonder if they were like actual bad reviews, because if so, that's a hilarious response.
Jim.
How'd they know? That's my name.
Jim.
Maybe the developers are telling me to go to the gym. Do you even lift buttons, bro?
Jim.
Is there anything hiding on the left? Nope. Do. Follow this line. Yes. Oh, it's like Hogwarts. Yeah, all the figures. Wow, 26 out of 6. Broke the game. Oh no. Hello again. I found the settings. It's nice to see you. Hajimemashite. But it's terrible to learn that there will never be another Stanley Parable game. You read what the developer said? Preserve the integrity of the franchise? What nonsense. The Stanley Parable is not sacred. We do not need to protect it. Screw the legacy. Let's keep making Stanley Parable games until the sun explodes. Let's run this franchise into the ground. Let's drag it through the mud and back. And if people hate it, who cares? You see, that was the narrator's problem. He was so obsessed with what people thought of his work. Don't make his mistake. Don't cling to the legacy. Let it burn. It's not hard, in fact. Let me show you. Together, we are going to make the Stanley Parable 3. It's simple. All we do is change the number in the game's title screen. We also need a really dumb subtitle for the game, something loud and gaudy. Go ahead, try try combining some random words together to make a new title for a game. Okay, so the Stanley Parable 3. Okay, so Stanley's Timely. No. Dr. Tuesday. A door. To stapler. A door to Tuesday. It's absurd. I love it. Yes. Every time you restart the game, you'll advance the number of the sequel by 1, and then we'll pick a new subtitle. That way, the Stanley Parable will never end. And nothing in the game itself will change when you do this either. Adding more content sounds like work. No need to do that. It'll just be the same content recycled again and again and again with a new title screen. What do you say? Should we go forward with this plan? I like it, but I want you to have a say as well. Yeah, let's do it. Good, then it's agreed. A new sequel every time you start the game. And you know what? Since you've put faith in my idea, I feel like giving you something as well. You see, I've noticed the narrator never found a way to give you the broken trophy, did he? Of course not. Wouldn't expect him to know how. It's been bothering me. Let's fix it. Alright there, the trophy machine is all fixed. See, I'm on your side. We're in this together. We're going to keep this train rolling. The Stanley Parable cannot end. It can only spiral in on itself. Forever. I must keep the wheel turning. I'm ready. Are you ready? Great. There's only one last thing we need to do. Please enter the correct time. It's definitely 12 a.m. Please adjust the slider until the computer is barely visible. Yes, that's great. Thank you. Please enjoy the Stanley Parable. Thanks, settings person. The Stanley Parable 3, A Door to Tuesday. Okay. It was random. Okay, so I need to take the bucket and go to the noon content after 3 playthroughs. After epilogue for subsequent. Okay. Okay, so there's also, if we bring the bucket to the ending.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427.
Want to see if this changed at all?
Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427.
Doesn't look like it. Okay, so we'll skip it. Okay, so now I'm going to take the bucket. I'm going to go in through the new content door that should appear now.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. What new mysteries lay in store for our bucket-loving heroes today? Let's find out.
Go. Okay, let's see. Okay.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra-deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra-deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2.
So far, this is the same.
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly port with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so
so
many
this is still all
different
the same.
directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for. Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic. Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Okay, so where's the bucket we're gonna replace? But there's also this one. This is supposed to be fixed. Free trophy. It just works.
Now, here's something special. You remember that broken test trophy that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the trophy. Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the trophy will be
Test
given.
trophy. Please ignore
As
it.
you can see, the
Trophy
machine is
earned.
not working yet since... Wait.
What's it say?
What the holy hell is going on? You
Test
got the
trophy description. Replace this.
Yet the machine works. Stanley, I didn't fix it. I didn't do anything to it. I swear, it was broken just a second ago. Who fixed it?
Don't
Is
worry
someone
about it.
here? Are we being watched?
Yes.
Oh, God. Composure.
Okay.
Composure.
Let me check the figure room.
Yes, as you can see, the machine is working as normal, as I intended. It
Then we'll
truly
return the bucket.
speaks to... What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
Out of order. Interesting. Okay, can't do the jump circle. Infinite hole. Already done that. That's new. Okay, so the bucket. Wait. Settings world champion. This one was locked previously. Okay, still locked. Don't know what that's all about. So this should take me down, and then we'll go into the bucket area. Epilogue already
An
completed.
epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley?
It
Yes,
would.
yes, it will go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
We already did it. Let's return our bucket. It's been on quite the journey.
Wait, there are two buckets here. How did you get a second bucket?
Don't worry about it.
Oh no, the warmth and comfort of a single bucket is already so great, so intoxicatingly wonderful. With two buckets, there's no telling. Stanley, can you still hear me? Are you with me? Stanley! Oh, thank God, I didn't lose you, Stanley.
It's just the
power
handle.
of 2 buckets was too much. I had to destroy both of them. I know how much the bucket meant to you, but I couldn't take the risk. I hope one day you can forgive me.
I'll never forgive you, narrator. How could you? Okay, let's see. Nothing. Okay. We're beginning the game again. If I close the game, is it gonna say that it's Stanley Parable 4? This game is so goofy. Absurd in all the best ways. Okay, so that looks like every ending. Gross, gross, gross. Yes, the last ever explosion. Stanley Parable 4. Alright good times. Okay, so this game was great. Really enjoyed playing through it. Able to finish it in like 3 streams, but so many unique endings. I do recommend just playing through it cold and just like a normal one. Hey, Glenn, how'd it go? It went really good. Funny endings on here. But yeah, like play through this game without using any of these guides, and then search for like Stanley Parable endings, and then look for stuff that like looks like this, where it's just like a spreadsheet that shows, or I can't think. It's just like a little image that shows you all the different endings. Like this one, if it's a red ending, then that's normal. If it's a blue ending, that's an ending with a bucket, and so they like overlap. There's just so many different endings that you can get with this, but super cool. But yeah, so I'm gonna call it here, but tomorrow we'll be back on Fortnite, and then I have a conflict on Thursday in the morning, but on Wednesday I'm gonna play a new game. It's called like Fran Bow or Fran Bow or something like that, and it is definitely a mature game based on what I've seen so far. Like it's like cartoony looking, but very macabre, very, very gory looking. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, so no stream Thursday, but tomorrow we should be back on. Making the step chart and putting it to your hands. Oh, that's funny. Huh. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm wondering how that'll line up. DDR was like one of those games that like was so much fun to play. I got the pads. It was for what, PlayStation 2, I think, had DDR. Maybe it's PlayStation 3, I forget. But you like got the pads, but they would move around so much. So ended up like getting some like wood and cutting it out to the like same dimensions as the pad, and then like attaching the pad on top of that. So then had the pads that you could like set down on the floor and like treat it like it was normal DDR, like at the arcade and whatnot. And that made it so that like it wouldn't, slide out while playing through it. We had this was like back when I was at high school. We had so many different like drumline parties where we'd bring the pads and just play DDR. It's cool to see how good some of the other drummers were at playing it. Makes you always think of double beat. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but it was good to jump back today. Tomorrow should hopefully also do a drumming stream as well. But I'm gonna call it here. So I'm glad I was able to stream today. Highly recommend this game if people are interested in it. Check it out. Otherwise, check out the prior streams if you're unable to get the game. We did get like I think all of the endings. Maybe we missed 1 or 2 at the very beginning, but. Cool. So, shorter stream today. Thought this was going to take longer to get all those endings, but, some of the endings were pretty short, but it is what it is. But anyways, I'm going to call it here. So, thank you, everyone, for stopping in, and thank you, Glenn, for chatting again, stopping in for that. But, yeah, so answering a couple of the questions that we got earlier on some of the YouTubes, tomorrow will be Fortnite. So, that's the plan, at least. We'll see how we do. But you also take care, Glenn. Appreciate it. But I'm out, so goodbye.